And welcome back to the Fun Astrology Podcast. It's the first full day of Pisces now, February 19th, Wednesday. Thomas Miller back. Thank you for stopping back by to see what's going on up above. I thought we would continue our conversation like we talked about yesterday in Pisces, because the two sign changes for this little season have already taken place. And that's Mars moving into Capricorn, where it is exalted. And we talked about that on Monday's episode. And then what happened last night, almost at the stroke of midnight Eastern time, the sun moved into Pisces. So this is our first full day, even though the actual ingress was last night. See, that's where you have to watch the charts on these transitions, some of these when the sun changes signs, because technically the date was February 18th, but you only had 10 minutes of it, right? But all those babies born overnight, they were Piscean babies. So I thought we might pick up a little bit of where we left off yesterday, talking about Pisces. And I mentioned in yesterday's episode that I have it pretty strong in my chart. So this is a connection that even though I'm not a Pisces, I kind of can connect to this sign extra well. And one of the things that jumps out about one of the Piscean characteristics is an interest in the mysterious, the mystic, the spiritual. That to me is kind of a summation and a hub of all of this, because from there you can explain the dreaminess. You can also from there explain somewhat of the unfocusedness. It's also where you can find and explain the tendency to want to rescue victims. Certainly is how you can explain the emotions. I mean, Pisceans are very emotionally sensitive people. It's not just a water sign, it's a deep water sign. And on the other side of all of this, of course, is the compassion and the empathy and the caring. And probably the most important characteristic of a Piscean is that intuition perception, that intuitive perception radar that a Piscean has that I don't know that any other sign of the Zodiac has to that degree. Pisceans can be very intuitive. See, that's one of those, I don't know, maybe nature or however this got set up put this in place, because when you have this disconnection over here and you have this intuition over here, see, to me, that's the best way to live. In fact, Fred Dodson, the author that I've narrated all the audiobooks for, and I will be finishing number 28 today. Hooray! Yay! 28 books that I've narrated for Fred Dodson. And I'll tell you what, people are buying them. They buy them all the time, and they do really well. And Fred has really, in my reconstruction of my life, which is spoken of all the time at the Subconscious Mind Mastery Podcast. Thank you for that. But it's a lot of work to do an audiobook. But when I reconstructed my life, I met Fred in 2013 doing an audiobook for him, and he has literally helped me reshape my life. He wrote an article on his blog at realitycreation.org not long ago, and he said that when he started to finally follow his intuition, that was when his entire life changed. I would echo the same thing. Now, another little parlay, so you want something of how you can apply this to your chart if you are not a Piscean, is go look at where Pisces is in your chart, and then look at the house, and whatever that house is, that area of life, you could certainly have extra intuitive perceptions in that area. So if you wanted to develop your intuition, that area of life would be a great place to start, because you've already have a head start. Now, if you're new to astrology and you don't know where to begin, then astro.com is a really good site that you can put up the chart, and they even have real-time interpretive programs. I believe it's called the Astro Portrait, but that gives you insight into your chart. Another site that I really like a lot these days is astro-seek.com, S-E-E-K. AstroSeek is another good place to call up your chart. But for example, if you have Pisces in the second house, that's the house of money and finances, you might have extra perception or extra intuitions in that area. Now, another thing I thought I would throw out here are what are some good Piscean careers? If you know a Pisces who is in the job search, see anything around, again, this theme of being a little bit ethereal, the mystic, that brings us really closely back to the arts. So for Pisceans, anything creative, inspired, like it's not easy to be a 9-to-5er if you are a Piscean. So the Piscean career world takes us pretty quickly to the arts. Now, I have Pisces in my 10th house. Photographer, filmmaker, production editor, motion graphics designer, 3D artist, animator, wedding photographer, musician, artist. See, these are the kinds of themes that you get from Pisces. Now, another one, and I think we touched on this yesterday, is addiction counselor comes up because this whole theme, especially from the Neptune rulership, the modern Neptune rulership, which rules addictions, that Pisceans can stand on basically two sides of the addiction equation. One could be subject to falling into an addiction, or B, could stand on the other side and become an addiction counselor or an addiction therapist. And by the way, that is another one of the areas that psychotherapist is a great career for a Piscean, especially from the helping people and the intuitive perception, and if you could escape the 9-to-5. that would be a good one. Hey, I have something that might be interesting. I have put together a list of jobs by sign. All 12. So this is not only Pisces, this is all of them. Some of them have more accumulation than others, but it's just a list that I put together. I will put that on our website, soulfoodtalks.com. And if you go to the Astrology shop, which is one of the boxes that's pretty close to the top, just go straight to the Astrology shop, and it will be in there. I'll put a modest price on it. I mean, under $10. I'm going to put it under $10. But just something so that there is an exchange of value, which is appropriate. And if you would like that and you are know somebody or are somebody looking for a job, then that list by sign would be available to you. And I tell you, it's how I put together what I'm doing now, came from this list. So I'll shoot that out. That will be online on soulfoodtalks.com by the time this podcast is out. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk more about Pisces as the days unfold. And hope you have a great Wednesday. Hump Day. Bye.